Far too many business owners and entrepreneurs focus on building a business and not a brand. On this Branding Bites podcast, I dish out bite-sized strategies to keep your personal brand front and center to make a more significant impact and see bigger results in your business. Hey there, it's Kristen Korn, and you're listening to the Branding Bites podcast, episode number 14, the 5-step method for building a direct sales business on the web. So if there's one business that's easy to start and one you can make income right away with, it's one in direct sales. Having been a part of a few direct sales models in my day, I've seen marketing done well, also done horribly wrong. So with over 8 years of experience in this space, I have used and developed a simple system to grow my business portfolio into a 6-figure annual income while being a part of multiple direct sales companies. Which is most likely how you heard of me or landed here in this podcast. So I want to tell you how I did it. But first I want to talk about the mistake I made because let's face it, I've had many. Maybe you too. So the first mistake when starting my direct sales business was that I would brand my company and not myself. And some might think that attaching yourself to your new company is what you need to do, but it's the worst thing you could do. Okay, you see, when you brand your company instead of yourself, people no longer need you. You become just like those other thousands or hundreds of thousands of reps in your timeline, and nothing is separating you from them or the company itself for that matter. So no wonder you lose potential clients to other reps. You aren't unique to them. Okay. So now you know what I did wrong. I was branding my company and not myself. Let me tell you more about what I did right. It just took me a few years to figure it out. Okay, so here's my story. A few years into my direct sales business, I was becoming really frustrated with the copy and paste marketing tactics reinforced throughout our industry. As a creative, I knew there had to be other ways to connect with my audience than with company photos and sales captions. If I was sick and tired of seeing the same images and promotions in my timeline, I knew my readers had to be feeling the same way. So as I started to change the way I created original content by sharing my authentic journey, personal photos, and giving my audience a little behind the scenes look into my business, other business owners wanted to learn how to do the same. So here I am today, and I have just established a branding business built on purpose and authenticity, and teach other entrepreneurs and direct sales reps how to approach online marketing in a fresh, confident, and strategic way. So this is where my story leads you, okay? How to brand you and how to set up a sales marketing process that will have you attracting new clients, creating more engagement, and growing your sales online using these 5 simple steps. So the 5 steps of my Stay in Your Lane brand method to direct sales includes determining your niche, publishing content, using a lead magnet, having an active email list, and lastly, consistency. Okay, so let's just go through these one by one. All right, step 1, determine your niche. So when building any business, the step many overlook is not taking the time to do some self-discovery. So when I talk about branding yourself, your brand is something you discover, not build. You don't just grab a shopping cart and go pick out the perfect brand for your direct sales business or any business for that matter. You, my friend, need to unlock and shine a light on all the actions, behaviors, and preferences you already possess. So you have layers and layers of pivots and life cycles and experiences that have led you to where you are right now. So it's time you use them to realize your core interest and shine a light on your journey. And self-discovery is necessary to realize your uniqueness and what makes you stand out from the crowd. Once you can define what inspires and motivates you, your brand strategy is about sharing these passions, which is your core interest, in authentic experiences with others who is your niche audience through original content. So if you want to have your brand examined and evaluated and reflected in a positive light, you need to put purpose behind what defines you and your reputation. So this was one area in my business that I missed the mark on big time in the beginning. I thought that since, I sold skincare that everyone who had skin was a possible client. That's who my niche was. Everybody with skin. But so happened when I targeted and funneled my niche down to mothers over the age of 35 who still struggled with acne, my sales increased. I actually was my own niche client. So in every post, I was talking to my 35-year-old self. I knew all about the pains, the struggles, and depressing thoughts going on in my head, which was her head, the same as my niche audience had. And it wasn't that only people looking for help with acne came to me. It opened the door to others to trust my authority because I wasn't all over the place trying to sell every product to everyone in my timeline. You see? So you want to become a big fish in a little pond instead of a little fish in a big pond. So narrow your niche as slim as possible, and then you're going to watch your sales increase. All right, step 2 is you have to publish content. You have to talk. It's a digital world. So in today's world of digital marketing and online sales, one thing to understand from the beginning is that you are selling so much more than just a product or a service on a daily basis. So every day, readers, consumers of your original content, they're paying attention to the experience that your brand gives them and the emotions you invoke within them. What this means, you're not selling a product, service, opportunity, you're selling yourself, your image, your reputation. It's your personal brand. And once you determine who your niche audience is, you create original content in audio, written, or video form to ascend your message that provides solutions to the problems your niche audience is having. When you know everything about your niche client, creating content becomes a breeze. Producing content becomes simple because you've done your research and you know what they are reading and watching, where and how they're living, and what keeps them up at night. For instance, if you sell skincare but aren't passionate about it, find another topic related to beauty and wellness that you can publish content on that would fill a need for your ideal client and that they find valuable to consume. For you to position yourself as an expert in your field, you must tell your authentic brand story and use your brand words and adjectives over and over again. And this story includes being transparent with your why and sharing what encouraged you to get started, your struggles, and the solutions you found. All right, step 3 is lead magnet. So if you've done an excellent job of creating a desire for your product or service with your original content, you next want to lead your ideal client into your sales process to do the selling for you. There are several ways to generate leads for your direct sales business, but whichever lead magnet you choose, you do so in exchange for their email address. So the most common lead magnets for direct sales would be offering product samples, showcasing how-to video tutorials, adding them to maybe a Facebook group community, or giving them a digital download like a workbook. By offering a high-value lead magnet, you help your customers get to know your business, product, or method better. You can also get to know your niche audience better too. And this is not salesy whatsoever. So in exchange for their email address, you just use an opt-in form. You deliver the lead magnet to them and enter them into your sales process and email sequence automation. The more they trust you, the more your brand will grow. Plus, by using a lead magnet, you cut out all those cold reach outs because your niche market is your warm market and who you want to be serving, which leads right to step 4, your email list. So if you ever want to start running and growing a business on autopilot, you need an active email platform. Period. No questions asked. Yes, you need to interact with your niche audience on social media, but you also need to become more personal and make deeper connections inside their inbox. And I consider my email list the most prized possession that I care for. So when you can use a lead magnet opt-in to capture your niche audience's email address and deliver your promised item in exchange, the sales process continues. So as your niche client is inside your email list, you need to love on them post-download of your lead magnet in that automated sequence to thank them and offer them related tips to that lead magnet. Next, you should lead them through your next steps and condition your relationship weekly through consistent high-value emails. And you aren't doing this in a way to spew products onto them. The company does that. This is about you and your brand. But you want to do it in a way that allows you to give them more value and transition into talking about your product. As you become known for your brand and not the company you rep for, you're going to gain more authority and people will come to you for your valuable information. So even if you decide to add another company to your portfolio, pivot careers, or become an affiliate for other products, you remain reputable. All right, last step 5, is consistency. And this one's pretty simple. Consistency allows your audience to build a memory structure around who you are and what value you have to offer. So, if you stop showing up online, your audience stops paying attention to you. That's pretty easy to remember. The more familiar we are with someone, the more we like them. So the more you tell your story with consistent visibility, the more people will know, like, and trust you. So, in the end, many of the troubles you face today, such as bugging your family and friends, relying on cold reach outs, losing clients to other reps, the fear of sales and sounding salesy, doing live and in-person events, and prospecting cold markets, they go away when you market your brand and not your company. But you first must stop apologizing for who you are, stop apologizing for failures, and stop apologizing for owning a space in this world. So within my Stay in Your Lane brand method, I not only cover being your authentic self, but also having confidence. Because when you're apologizing for taking up space in this world, that is a self-confidence problem. And I can tell you with absolute certainty, having self-confidence about who I am and what I want has been a secret weapon for my success. So to get your hands on my interactive Stay in Your Lane brand method for direct sales workbook, head on over to the show notes for this episode. It's kristenkornblog.com/episode 14. If only someone would have handed me this workbook 8 years ago when I started my direct sales journey, how much discouragement I would have prevented. Like, that is what I was thinking when putting this workbook together for you. So the 5-step technique shared on this episode and in the complimentary workbook is a proven way to attract new clients, create engagement, and grow your online sales in less than 30 days. No fluff, it's just real steps you can start taking today to turn your direct sales business around. Again, to download your complimentary copy of my interactive Stay in Your Lane brand method for direct sales workbook, head on over to the show notes for this episode, kristenkornblog.com/episode 14. All right, purpose-driven CEOs, until next time, keep putting purpose behind your brand, and thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Branding Bites podcast. I'd love to hear from you, so hop on over to Instagram at Stay in Your Lane Brand and drop a comment. And if you're feeling extra gracious, please leave a review wherever you caught this podcast. You can dive into the show notes for this episode and all episodes at brandingbitespodcast.com. And if you love this podcast, please share it with a friend. Thanks for tuning in.